Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. I'm here in the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville. Augie the doggy is watching my back. And together we're going to use the magic of the internet to travel to Bavaria in Germany to speak with our guest today. He is the author of Being Happy With Nevis. His name is Christian Lothar Ludwig. Before we begin our magical journey to Bavaria, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by the last surviving dinosaur, the Tarantacranchosaurus, written by Stephen Joseph and playfully illustrated by Andy Case. This is an amazing book because this is a really fun read out loud book. It features 6 cranky relatives, 3 mean dinosaurs, and 1 very cranky Tarantacranchosaurus. This book tells a tale of how the dinosaurs became extinct, and it's not that life-ending meteor shower thing the paleontologists tell you about. The Tarantacranchosaurus is so cranky that she makes all the other bigger and meaner dinosaurs disappear. That is, until she comes across the only dinosaur who is immune to her incessant complaining, the Tarantacranchosaurus. These 2 dinosaurs evolved into humans, and that's where cranky people come from. Throughout the illustrated book, family members and dinosaurs humorously battle to have the best sauruses. That's a Yiddish word for big. I mean really big problems, including warts, alligator attacks, and brain tumors. Poor cousin Dottie grew an entire forest on her feet. Oi! The best part of this very funny book is that it's not just for cranky kids. As the storyteller tells us, even mommy and daddies can be a Carankatankosaurus and Kvetchosaurus sometimes. I mean, you hear me stumbling over these words. How much fun are your kids going to have hearing you battle with the Tarantacranchosaurus, trying to get that out of your mouth? Well, they're going to have a lot of fun. They're going to want you to read this book over and over and over again. It turns out that everybody has a bit of Tarantacranchosaurus and Tarantacranchosaurus in him or her. The last surviving dinosaur reminds readers to be mindful of when and how often they complain, a lesson from which everyone, young and old, can benefit. The last surviving dinosaur, the Tarantacranchosaurus, is available online at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and many other sites where books are sold. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by our friends at Familius Publishing. There's so many things I love about Familius Publishing. I love the books that they created. One of my favorite books over the past year was The Road Not Taken. Familius's take on that classic poem by Robert Frost. Vivian Miniker's illustrations introduce you to the poem in a whole new way. So I love the books. I love the people. Christopher Robin, the publisher at Familius Publishing, such a great guy, and he created Familius to help families be happy. And that's what I love about Familius the most, that they're all about helping families be happy. We believe that the family is a fundamental unit of society and that happy families are the foundation of a happy life. We recognize that every family looks different, and we passionately believe in helping all families find greater joy. To that end, we publish books for children and adults that invite families to live the Familius 9 Habits of Happy Family Life. Love together, play together, learn together, work together, talk together, heal together, read together, eat together, and laugh together. Check them out. Their website is familius.com, Familius.com, and be sure to follow them on Instagram at Familius Talk. That way you can learn about all of their titles and stay up to date on all the latest releases. This episode is also brought to you by With the Courage of a Mouse, Book 1 in the Superhero School series, a fantastic middle grade chapter book for ages 7 to 12, focusing on courage, friendship, and finding the superhero in all of us. The Superhero School, written by Donna Sager-Cowan. Kat the cat wants a home, a family and friends she can count on. When suddenly she finds herself in Sweet Meadows, that's a long way from the alley she calls home. Kat discovers she can talk, but she can't decide if she's dreaming or dead. Now, Simon's a mouse, and he's having the worst day ever. Instead of celebrating his first day at superhero school, he's on the breakfast menu twice. At first, a hawk considered him an easy meal, but thankfully, quick thinking changed that. Now, a cat wants to pounce, but none of Simon can help it. With a quick plan and a matchstick, Simon speeds towards certain death. Will he arrive at superhero school? Want to find out? Be sure to pick up your copy of With the Courage of a Mouse, Book 1 in the Superhero School series. Like I said before, it's a great middle grade chapter book for ages 7 to 12. The series touches on common life themes and challenges with humor, patience, and self-improvement techniques. It's written by Donna Sager-Cowan, and it's available wherever books are sold. Joining us right now from Bavaria in Germany. I love the fact that the Reading with Your Kids podcast really has become a worldwide, I was going to say a worldwide phenomenon, but that would be like a little exaggerated. But we have had guests from all over the world. And today we have the author of Being Happy with Nevis. Please welcome to the show, Christian Lothar Ludwig. Christian, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Chet?
I'm wonderful. I hope I didn't Americanize the pronunciation of your name too badly.
Oh, fine.
So we're talking, Christian and I were talking a little bit about the weather and how crazy it is in the summers in both of our respective countries and how things have changed. And your book is about change. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's about changing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Tell us all about Being Happy with Nevis.
The inspiration for the book I found in my childhood. I was a big fan of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. Mm-hmm. And I was always thinking as a child, what might happen if a caterpillar eats too much? It's nonsense, because he has to eat a lot. And I was always thinking if the butterfly might get stuck in his cocoon. And that was the idea for Nevis.
I love that, and I love that you remember that childlike brain, what you were thinking, of like, wow, the caterpillar is going to eat too much and get stuck in the cocoon. It makes perfect sense looking at that at the world with a 6 or 7-year-old mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my intention.
Yeah.
And to me, being happy is the most important thing in life. Mm-hmm. All money, all houses, whatever, gets you nowhere if you're not happy. That's at least my attitude to life. And I wanted to write that down and explain being happy to the kids, because I think you can be happy whatever your life is like. At least as long as you enjoy your life and make the best out of every moment. And the metaphor of the butterfly stuck in his cocoon was just perfect to do this.
I love that, and I absolutely agree with you. I think it's so important for us to help our kids understand that happiness is not found in things or money or in other people's approval or disapproval of us. We really need to find happiness within ourselves.
Exactly. And the only one to give you happiness is yourself. And that's how Nevis spends his days. At first he is like, only when I'm a butterfly I'll be happy. And he waits and waits and waits, and he hates every day because he's not a butterfly, and he wakes up again and he's still not a butterfly. So every day he wakes up with a bad mood and carries this mood all day long, is the loner of the class, as the other kids just would maybe like to play with him, but he just doesn't give them a chance. Mm-hmm. And that's this way his life kind of and only with the help of his parents, of his mother, that just gives him a short little speech and tells him kind of like the truth, just enjoy every moment. Mm-hmm. He changes overnight what is possible, not possible for a human, I think, mm-hmm. but Nevis can do this. And when he starts to participate in school activities and gives the other people a chance to, how to interact with him, mm-hmm. his life gets better. He opens up, and starts to enjoy his life by changing himself. Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk a lot and we hear a lot about how mean kids can be sometimes, and they bully and they exclude, and that's true, and that's tragic when that happens. But as you're pointing out with your story of Nevis, a lot of times the person who does the most damage to us are ourselves. You know, I know in Nevis he kind of, wakes up thinking, oh, they're going to just make fun of me, and I'm not going to deal with them because they're going to call me names and not going to want to play with me, and we cause a lot of that grief ourselves, just projecting it out there.
Yeah, you're kind of like living in the moment, because the future is only in your head. Mm-hmm. And if you see the future as a bad, they won't talk to me, they will make fun of me, and so on, you kind of draw this kind of future into your life, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked a lot on the show about helping our kids live gratefully and helping them see the wonderful things in their life and the things that they have that they're happy about, instead of, like Nevis, waking up every morning think about how terrible things are.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed was that this is a book in rhyme, and it's a wonderful book in rhyme. Am I correct in thinking that you wrote the original version of Nevis in German?
Yes, it's also published in German. But I even think the English one is more like a symphony, kind of like, it's more harmonic, I think. In German, it's harder to rhyme.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. Was it because I've done a little? I've performed my educational magic shows in Puerto Rico, and there are a couple of songs that I had to translate into Spanish, and it was a real challenge translating the English into Spanish. And you're saying that it was easier to translate the rhymes into English?
I think so, yeah, because in German you have to have the same ending of the word, so they'll rhyme, because the pronunciations are very similar. In English, the words can be written completely different, but the sounding is different.
You found it easier to write in the rhymes in English than your native tongue, and that's pretty fascinating. Was that something that surprised you?
Honestly, at first, yes. I didn't start with writing English with Nevis, but I wrote a novel beforehand. Mm-hmm. And it took me, I think, 3 months to write it in German and a year to translate it, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really hard for me to translate the first book. But I worked through it, I think, 25 times. Mm-hmm. And after I had done this, writing in English got easier. And I spent so much time on translation sites, on checking the dictionary and so on. And I'm good with words. To me, it's kind of easy to find the right word find the right wording. And so translating Nevis in English was a thing for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so.
Oh, neat.
While writing was 6 weeks, I think.
Uh-huh. Talk a little bit about, because one of the things that folks in America are criticized for, and we earned it, is that we don't typically, many Americans don't learn a second language. And we have this reputation of traveling around the world and just expecting everybody to speak English to us. And we don't take the time to get to know at least a little, fundamental languages when we're traveling. And it's a much different attitude. We host international kids here in our home, and we know from those kids, there's a very different attitude. And many of the kids that we've had in our home speak not only their native tongue, but they speak English, and they speak a third or even a fourth language. Can you talk a little bit about just the benefits of having a second language has brought to your life, and the benefits that our kids can get if we encourage them to learn another language?
It gets you a lot further in life. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. If a kid wants to find a job or anything, a second language is a must these days, I'd say. Mm-hmm. At least here in Europe, if you don't speak English, you have problems finding higher paying jobs, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And learning a second language can be hard, but only in the beginning if you know the basics. And I, for example, learned English by watching TV. Mm-hmm. Instead of watching my TV series in German, I started with English subtitles, and half a year later, I switched the language. I listened to it in English and read German subtitles. And with time, it gets into your brain. There's no thinking needed anymore at some point.
Mm-hmm. And the earlier we start doing this with kids, the easier it is for kids. And we're living in a time right now where there's so many options for us. If we're watching TV with our kids, we can turn on those subtitles and switch into different languages.
Sure.
Yeah.
And right at the moment, I'm also learning Spanish as a third language. Mm-hmm. And same style. I'm learning the basics, and then I'm going to watch TV. Instead of the German or English TV shows, I'm going to watch Spanish ones.
Tell us about the other projects that you're working on.
So right at the moment, I think I'm working on 10 projects, I think.
Wow.
I got a novel that's kind of like the follow-up for my first novel. And then I got a comic that's more like for grown-ups, but that's not ready to publish yet. And then I got children's books. I got one together with my girlfriend called Orla Octopus. That's also the illustrator for Nevis is my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Einer Theresa Facker. And it's also kind of a profound meaning in it. It's about an octopus that gets lost from his mother while still in the egg. Ooh. And as Orla has no idea what she is, she swims through the ocean and tries to adapt to all the other living things. So she tries to befriend seahorses, tries to befriend a starfish, and so on. She never is satisfied, or the others just notice that she's not like them and just shoo her away.
I was going to say, this is a theme of yours, of finding yourself. Where do you think that comes from?
Because that's I think the most important thing in life. Because if you find yourself, this for me is like a synonym for happiness. Mm-hmm. And all my books have a little bit of this process in them. And I found myself, and I would like to help others finding them. And that's why I write. That's why I do this.
What was the process like for you to find yourself? What kind of things did you struggle with before you became comfortable being Christian?
Self-love.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing, because I was like, how I am, nobody would like me, or I have to adapt to others just like Orla Octopus. to, so the others would like me. And, I always was like the guy doing everything for others, but, if I needed help, I was alone. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that my life is that way, and I wanted to change this. And so I did. Took years and a lot of throwbacks and so on, but I managed. Mm-hmm. And writing books was like a childhood dream for me. I was in elementary school. I already told the teacher I want to be a writer. I want to write books. And my life took some turns. I'm a mechanical engineer, for example. But it was not fun for me. I wasn't happy in that high-paying position. Mm-hmm. So I quit and started searching for myself.
Well, we're really happy that you found yourself, and we're really happy that you found your love creating these stories that are giving kids hope that they can find themselves and they can more importantly find happiness.
Yeah. And all the other, yeah.
No, I was wondering what kind of reaction are you getting from folks who are reading these books and finding their own happiness?
Mixed. Some of them, or I often hear, they don't know what to say. Uh-huh. Because kind of overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And probably need time to process them, mm-hmm. I'd say. Others say it's awesome as the rhymes are classy, they're like a melody, and all kinds of different reactions, but I've never heard a bad one. Mm-hmm. Everyone was like, awesome.
Well, I think the one, the kind of the profound, wow, this really moved me, and I need some time to process this information. Yeah. I think that's probably, for me, it would be the reaction that I was kind of most grateful for.
Thanks. Cool.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What other kind of projects can we look forward to you creating in the near future?
I got a project called Saria that is a girl in Africa before mankind knew what time was. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, 4,000 years ago. She is born in a small village, and on the day she's born, 2 lion cubs walk into the village and ride to her, lay next to her, and stay with her all her life. And they grow up together, and at some point when Saria is like 12 to 15 years old, her mother gets sick, and the shaman tells her to get a plant from the mountains on the horizon. So the girl has meanwhile built a undestroyable bondage with her 2 lionesses, mm-hmm. and gets on her adventure to get the flower. And this book is written to show a connection to nature. Mm-hmm. As she is kind of the queen of lions, and all the other animals help her on her way to find the flower. So she gets help from a giraffe, giving her high-hanging fruits from a tree. She gets help from an elephant carrying her across black sand that would burn her feet, and so on. A lot of small things that nature does for the girl.
Well, that sounds that sounds like fun. It's any idea when that will be available?
I got like 4 or 5 illustrations missing, mm-hmm. and it's already written in German and English. I'm thinking 4 to 6 weeks tops.
Well, that's exciting, and what a great addition to the library of books that you're creating for kids and families. Where can folks connect with you online, Christian, so they can know when this new book is available and also find out about all the other works that you're creating?
I got a Facebook page called Christian Lothar Ludwig Author. For example, I got Instagram. I got a homepage, www.c-l-ludwig.com, where all my books are listed, and you even can write me an email. I got everything accessible for everyone. And Pinterest and Twitter also.
Excellent. Well, we've been talking today to the author of Being Happy with Nevis and so much more, Christian Lothar Ludwig. Christian, thanks so much for being on our show.
Thank you very much for giving me a chance.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We will be welcoming back Rick Starkey. He is an author. He is a magician. He is a wood carver. He carves like sculptures out of wood with chainsaws. It's amazing, and he's an amazing guest. And be sure to join us the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to tell you about a fantastic way to tell the world all about your book. Being a guest on the show. That's right, being a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. It's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands and thousands of people about your great children's book. All you need to do is go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We'll let you know the next easy steps. Hey, we want to give a big thank you to everybody who made today's show so wonderful. Christian Lothar Ludwig, thank you so much for telling us all about your fantastic children's book. I want to thank our sponsors, Stephen Joseph, The Last Surviving Dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus. Check it out. It is a fun read-aloud book. Also want to thank Donna Sager-Cowan. Be sure to check out With the Courage of a Mouse, Book 1 in the Superhero series. And be sure to listen to the podcast. Donna will be coming back on the show in the near future to tell us all about something new in the series. And we want to thank our friends at Familius Publishing. Be sure to follow them on Instagram at Familius Talk. And also go to their website, familius.com, to find out all of the fantastic books that they offer, that they've created to help families be happy. I also want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. Be sure to check out Fatima's blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank Augie the doggy for watching my back. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all of the support she gives me. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, on iTunes, wherever you find your podcast. And I also want to thank you for helping to make the world a better place. And you really do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.